Hey guys, how you guys all doing? Thank you for tuning in to another incredible interview with incredible people. And I've got the most coolest guy, by the way, Dreggas13. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How you doing, man?
Doing fantastic. Now, for those that don't know, we met at TwitchCon in Vegas, and we were pretty much line buddies and had great conversations. And we were there for a few hours, so it was great to get to know you and all that good stuff. And that's why we're here, because I want to know more. So we're going to dive right into it. How did you come up with your name?
Funny enough that it was originally, the original was just Dreggas, and it's actually to completely nerd. It was my favorite D&D character that I ever played growing up when I was playing tabletop Dungeons and Dragons. So it kind of stuck as my nickname because I played the character really well. It was like he was a necromancer in Ravenloft and absolutely, like, literally paranoid schizophrenic. And I played it really well. And like eventually the dungeon master had to give up because I was just getting too lucky with the character.
Yeah.
And was able to do everything. Like I could have literally just killed gods and taken over. So we kind of stopped playing, but the nickname stuck, and I've kind of used it through various online forums. Not everywhere. It's funny because you can actually Google my name, and I'm like, that's not me. That's somebody else. So, now the Dreggas13 is me, so that makes it easier.
Way easier.
And the 13 is just because I like 13. I like the number 13. I've never thought it was unlucky.
No, perfect. No, excellent. So before we start talking about the streaming aspect of Dreggas13, what drew you into playing tabletop games such as D&D, and how long have you been a fan of D&D?
I mean, I grew up in a small town, and I hung out with kind of the rejects, and I wasn't part of the in crowd. So they all played D&D. I got into playing D&D. I wish I still had the collection, because a lot of the stuff I had would be worth a lot of money today. I had some like the very original D&D modules, and it was like, go hang out on a Friday night or Saturday night with friends and play D&D, and then watch Beavis and Butthead. And this is when I was in like junior high school, and then that was our weekends, and we had a lot of fun doing it. I mean, of course there was video games involved too, but we'd have like a 3 to 4 hour D&D session, drink a lot of highly caffeinated soda, and just have a good time. It was fun. It was like something, actually, you know what? It's funny because it's kind of totally like the Hellfire Club in Stranger Things. Like that, I grew up during that period, and that was our life. That was our life. And Walden Books, all the stuff in the mall, I'm like, that was my mall. That was when we went to the mall. And so it's like, yeah, there was no internet until like I got out of high school. So we played D&D.
Nice. Okay, so walk me through the best campaign you played when you were young.
I mean, honestly, the best campaign I played was with the character Dreggas, and that was there was a setting called Ravenloft, and that setting was basically the demiplane of Dread, and it was kind of like a monster movie world. Like you had one guy that ruled one province of the realm that was literally Dracula, but by another name. You had another it was like an Egyptian desert area that was ruled by a mummy. There was a werewolf. There was even a Frankenstein monster. There was whole novels written about this place, the whole 9 yards. And that was one of our favorite campaign settings. And that's where I played Dreggas. And by the end of it, like I was a half vampire, half lich. And I had already like taken over one of the domains in Ravenloft. And like I had godlike intelligence, but I was a paranoid schizophrenic. So like everybody was out to get me, and I had the ability to deal with it. But and I was a mage, so like fireball, I cast fireball. I don't care the size of the room,
Yes.
It was totally a off the wall thing, and it was a lot of fun.
Do you think when you were playing D&D, was it a nice, easy transfer into playing the games that you love now?
I mean, honestly, I had still been playing video games then too, and I played a lot of fantasy games. I played a lot of medieval fantasy games. I read a lot of medieval fantasy growing up. I mean, Robert Jordan's Wheel of Time, any of the Dragonlance novels. I read a lot of books growing up. I'm still reading today, but now video games kind of replace it in some sense because you can play the story, not just read the story. But yeah, no, it all translated over because I was all about like medieval fantasy stuff. So I played the video games. I mean, shoot, I played the original Final Fantasies. I played some of the I'm trying to remember. There's so many old games and I can't remember half of them. That I played Zelda, you know, that type of stuff. I played a lot of that, so it wasn't a big leap. Now I play a whole bunch of games. I mean, I play a whole bunch of different stuff, but a lot of it is things that I can be creative with. You know, I can get creative with it, build my own story too.
Okay. So, how long have you been streaming?
I want to say since 2019. Yeah, it was just before. It was kind of just literally a bit before COVID started that I started streaming. Well, no, actually, it was no. I can't remember. It was 2019. I think that was my first stream. I started off and on. You know, I was streaming from my Xbox. I was using the Twitch app. You fire up the Twitch app and you're streaming on Twitch, and you see a little bar up there that says nobody's watching. And, you know, I would stream for like half an hour, be feeling awkward talking and not seeing anybody. And I would leave. I would stop streaming. I would just like, screw it, I'll just play video games. And that was a kind of an on and off spurt. Finally, I streamed one whole game to one viewer that watched the whole thing. I started getting the hang of it. And then I just kept going from there. I think that it was the year that Assassin's Creed Valhalla came out because I really wanted to stream that game, and then a whole bunch of people were streaming it early. And I was like, well, there goes me streaming it. And I gave up, then came back like a month later and started just going whole hog with it. Okay. Like I was like, okay, I'm going to try to make this happen.
What was the motivation to have you stream your first time? What was the motivation?
He kind of came in with the raid, but I have a friend named Duke of Games who had already been streaming. I helped, in fact, I was friends with him outside of streaming before this. And he's like, you should give it a try. Just give it a try. And I watched him do it. So that got me to start doing it because I already love video games. And I already know, like, I love sharing video games and the things that I learn in them and my excitement for them with people. So I started doing it, and then like as people started showing up and, you know, started hanging out, and then I'm like, hey, this is cool. Now there's 3 people, now there's 4, now there's more. You know, it just became, I really found I like entertaining people. I like brightening people's days, and the medium of video games, like as kind of the one thing that's kind of the glue, really has helped. Though now, like a lot of people are like, I don't care what you're playing, I just want to come see what silliness you're gonna do or hear your stupid jokes or, you know, whatever. And that means the world to me because at the end of the day, you know, I want to entertain people, and I want to, you know, if they're having a shitty day, I want them to have a brighter day. Right. You know, I want them to be able to relax and enjoy themselves and, you know, have some community and enjoy the content.
What do you, question, do you have a name for your community?
The community is called the Raiders Den. Kind of sprung up because I got the nickname the Viking, because I'm like a 6'3", 250 plus pound Viking power lifter. I've got
you are a big boy.
I was playing Assassin's Creed Valhalla, and people started calling me the Viking. It changed to Viking Daddy. It's the Jarl, all of that. So created the community, the Raiders Den, out of that. Vikings are Raiders, so we were the Raiders Den, and that was the name of the community.
Do you feel what's your ratio for your motivation to turn on the stream? Is it more of the game, or is it more of the community, or is it both?
I would say so. Like, there's some games that I do get really excited about, and like I'm super excited to share. There's a couple more. There's a couple coming out this year. There's 3 more coming out this year that I'm like really stoked to be able to play and share with people and share my initial reactions to. There's a few games that have already been that way, like the new Hellblade that came out. Even though it was slow, even though it's not super action packed, that the original had a huge impact on me as a person, not just a gamer. That I really wanted to share the second one, and we blew through that in a week because it's a short game. And even though it was just beautiful, it's just a beautifully done game. There's a few others, but for the most part, like I will say that getting on stream, I feel more disappointed that I'm letting other people down if I don't stream. Like, I know that there are people that look forward to hanging out in my streams, that they're going to they can have had a shitty day and they're going to be cheered up. And if I don't stream, even though I do have to take time here and there for real life, for it's too damn hot, I'm tired, I'm going through some things and I'm not going to be entertaining. I do it, I would say majority for the community. I do it to majority to entertain people.
So I would like to personally know, how do you balance the real world with your online world? How do you balance it?
Well, I will say for a long time, I was streaming every night, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 6 hours a night. It was practically a second full-time job. And the numbers were there. I had great numbers, but we ended up getting burned out on games. But my wife is also a content creator, so she understands the streaming a bit more now. But at the time, she's just like, you're doing this 5 nights a week. You're not going to the gym anymore, because this was after everything. When everything shut down with COVID, there were no gyms open. And when everything opened up again, I had fallen out of going to the gym. I had fallen out of taking care of myself. She's like, and I realized like I had to make a change because I wanted to feel better. I wanted time to be able to spend with her, like be able to go do stuff. I originally cut back to a few hours, and I'm like, okay, only going to stream a few hours a night, get up in the morning, go to the gym. Now I'm at the point where I stream 3 days a week. I stream Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. If I have to take a night off, I take a night off, and nobody holds it against me. So I'm more comfortable being able to do that now, because I always felt like I was letting people down if I had to take a night off. And it also, I mean, let's face it, Twitch is, you see those numbers, and those numbers can get to your head if you let them. And there's times where the numbers get to your head. But I realized that, number one, I feel so much better now that I'm able to take a couple of days off. I can chill and game. I can work on some other content on some other platforms. I can go out with my wife on a Tuesday or Thursday night because we're going to go do a food review, or whatever we're going to go do. And I can just, like, I've become to the point where this is the much better point for me to be at. And I'm at the point where no matter what, real life will always be first. The balance is, that's number one. My wife and my real life are number one. Content creation comes second. Well, actually third, because I have a real life job too. I have a day job. So, real life, wife, job, home, family first, content creation second. If I had to stop streaming tomorrow, I'd stop streaming tomorrow. Would I enjoy that? No, I would not. I love doing it, but I would do it if I had to.
Okay. As a streamer, what is your number one philosophy to live by?
Now, I mean, try to be a good person. I try to use my platform for, we do charity streams. I used to work with a charity organization, and unfortunately that fell through because they got really greedy and weren't making money on the charity side of things. So now I work with various charities myself. My philosophy is try to brighten up other people's days, do some good in the world, and use my platform to, elevate others and help others if I possibly can. We've done fundraisers for people in the community. We had to stop that a little bit because it was just like, don't get me wrong, I would give the shirt off of my back to everybody, but we can't do that. I can't do that. I can't expect the community to do that. So now we do charities for like every few months for various organizations, usually ones dealing with mental health, veterans, suicide prevention, that type of thing. And, even if people can't donate, I'm still like, hey, you're here donating your time, hanging out in a stream. That means the world to me too.
As a streamer for being over a couple of years now, my question to you is, what is something as a streamer's taught you from your community that you carry into the real world?
I don't know that I can't really say that there's anything that it's taught me that I carry over to the real world, because I'm 45. Do I learn new things here and there? Sure. But honestly, like for the most part, I can't say that there's anything that it's taught me that I carry over into the real world. I just try to be a good person. I mean, it's made me grow a thicker skin, because at the end of the day, there's always going to be people that like are jealous, upset, talk shit. The internet is filled with that, and
gotta love the trolls.
We as content creators really got to get a hold of that. So yeah.
All right. So where you're at right now, you're going to time travel back to your earlier stages, the first week of you streaming. What's some advice that you'd give yourself?
Don't worry about the numbers. Don't feel awkward talking to nobody. Get used to talking to yourself. Because when you start out, Twitch does give us some tools now to make it easier to kind of break in, but you got to be into the stuff that they're saying you have a good chance to break into, to get into that, to start attracting people. But at the end of the day, like, don't be afraid to keep going just because nobody's there, but always make sure that you're talking. Always make sure that you're interacting, even if it is with yourself, even if it is talking shit to the video game at first, because when I was able to start doing that is when people started staying, because I didn't have a camera when I started. I was, like I said, I was using the Twitch app. I mean, my setup over the years went from just the Twitch app to kind of a janky setup where I was able to stream through a middleman to Twitch and still have stuff up on my computer, to now, Shure microphone, green screen, key lights, have that all dialed in. You get to this is when you're like, okay, it's become a little bit more of a hobby. Now I'm like, okay, I really like doing this. So I want to put on a good show. I want to have that pizzazz. But I would tell people, even don't let this stuff stop you, that you think you have to have it right away. Make it work with what you have, and be yourself. Be able to speak. You have to be able to speak. People can go watch a YouTube Let's Play with no commentary and watch the same game you're playing. If you aren't sitting there entertaining them along the way, they're going to have very little reason to stick around. That's what I feel.
Okay. So I want to backtrack a little bit about your community. What's the coolest thing about your community?
I would say that it's part of it is the diversity. I mean, we've got all kinds of people in there. We've got all age ranges in there. We've got a couple of people that I know are under 18, even though we say it's over 18. We allow them because they behave themselves. They're more mature than the age number. We've got, like I said, the oldest community member, as far as I know, she's 74. We have community nights here and there where we'll sit and watch cartoons while we video game. I mean, we'll be sitting watching Bugs Bunny. We'll do movie nights. We'll do that thing. But I think the one thing that I love the most is how very giving and selfless most of the community is. Like, whether it's their time or whether it's giving money to charities, like they'll sit there and we'll blow through like a $2,000 goal for a charity if we can normally. And that's the one thing that every single time I do one of these charity streams kind of restores my faith in humanity a little bit, because we give back and we kind of look out for each other. The word family is thrown around on Twitch a lot, but I think that we do kind of have a tight knit family. you know, as I always say, it's up to each person how involved they want to be in the community, how involved they want to be in my Discord. We got a lot of people that don't say anything but show up to streams. We've got a lot of people that talk more in the Discord but don't have the ability to show up to the streams as often, and that's fine. But you can ask anybody that's around regularly, and we've got a great group of people. We really do.
All right, well, you're in luck, my good sir, because at this moment in this interview, I want you to look into the camera and I want you to say something from your heart to your community, because I'm sure at some point they're going to find this video, and I want to give you that moment to just tell them whatever it is that you want to tell them, so that way they can always hang on to that. Take it away, Mr. Dreggas.
The one thing I would say to my community is thank you for always having my back. Especially my mod team. I mean, I got to hand it out to my mod team. Is, you know, they've listened to me when I've wanted to scream. They've listened to me when I've needed to vent, when I've been happy, when I've been upset. You know, they've been there through the whole thing. But, you know, as always, like the one thing that I tell them is, I tell all of them is just thank you for being there. I stream 3 hours a night, 3 days a week. That's 9 hours of people's lives. That they spend that 9 hours hanging out in my streams means the world to me. That they come and hang out even when I'm not playing the game that they originally found me playing means the world to me. And the way they turn out and show up when we're raising money for good causes, that means the world to me as well. I say it all the time, and I think the channel's still there and I need to use it more, but I actually have a channel for literally, you know, it's just a thank you channel that I can, like, when I am having, you know, when I'm in a pontificating mode, to just thank them for everything that for all these years of, you know, hanging around, whether it's they've been here a few months, whether they've been here for the whole ride. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your time. Thank you for that's the one thing you can't get back. You know, you can re-earn money that you gift me in bits and subs. You can do all that. You know, that's transient. It's the time that means the most to me.
Fantastic. I like that. Do you want to throw an I love you in there? You can throw an I love you.
I do. I mean, I tell them all the time. I do love my community. I do love my community. They're a great bunch of people. We're very diverse, very eclectic. And that, I think, you know, makes us, sometimes it gets, I'm sure we get on each other's nerves, but for the most part, it's our diversity. That's our strength, because everybody's different and everybody comes from different walks of life. And at the end of the day, I would not change that for the world. Like yeah.
Wonderful. So I'm going to switch it up, because this is the first time ever in one of these interviews I've ever done, someone's had their baby with them. Tell me a little bit about your cat.
Okay, so this is Tuna.
Hi, Tuna.
Her name was originally Fortuna, but so 2006, one day I got to work and one of the security guards was standing outside and he was holding this tiny kitten in his hands. And she was skin and bones. She had a sinus infection. She was covered in fleas and maybe 6 weeks old at most. And I had wanted another cat because I was living on my own. I already had a cat and he was alone all day. So I took her, I got her nursed back to health. I got her, you know, the flea treatments, the sinus infection cleared up. Bought a crate for her that she lived in for a little bit while she got better so she didn't get my other cat sick. And I named her Fortuna, which was like the female version of Fortune. And then my girlfriend at the time, who is now my wife, shortened her name to Tuna. So Tuna has always stuck, and she will come to Tuna. She responds to that name, so she is a cat named Tuna. And I have had her for 18 years, and she knows damn well that she's spoiled rotten and she's daddy's baby kitten. You know, she's also the queen of the neighborhood. There are no other cats, no matter their size, who will mess with her. And yeah, she's you know, you can see that she's decided that the microphone needs to be nuzzled.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
And so she would show up now and then on stream, and one of my mods actually sent me this mat and I set up the laptop table because I work from home. And now she just comes up and she lays there every night while I stream. And even on nights when I don't stream, she's now conditioned to know that when daddy's sitting here talking to nobody, apparently, and in front of his computer, that she probably will get treats at some point. And about every 15 minutes, she starts smacking me, which is the timer for the cooldown to get treats.
I think you should give her a treat right now, because I saw her earlier hit you, and I'm like, uh-oh, he better give up these treats.
Yeah, that's the sign that she's like, father, pay attention to me. Father, I need treats.
Sweet, I love it. All right, now we're going to switch it up just a little bit, because I need to know from a gamer standpoint, what's the worst game you ever played due to its mechanics, not its popularity?
The worst game I ever played due to its mechanics, not its popularity. So one of the recent ones that I can remember, and actually it's funny because this is kind of how I started, one of the games that I started my streaming career with, was the original American McGee's Alice. And I played that one because I had Alice Madness Returns, and the original Alice came with it, and it was just so old and janky. And the polygons were so bad. I mean, we're talking literally like lots of, triangles and really badly done stuff. And it was just so frustrating to play through it because you'd think you were jumping to hit something, but you weren't. And it was just really, on a modern system, it looked horrible. It played horrible, but I bit my tongue and pushed through it. I pushed through it, and I was just like, yeah, I can't do that again.
All right, fair enough. Now, we're going to go on the opposite end of this question, and that is, what game is your guilty pleasure people are going to make fun of you for playing? But you love it. It's your jam.
Well, I don't think, see, there's I don't have a game in that regard. I will say that one of the main games I'm playing right now that I do love, and people have just crapped on it, and honestly, rightfully so, at least at launch, because it was missing a lot of stuff, is Skull and Bones from Ubisoft. I was a play tester on the game. I played both of the betas. I played every beta that they had. And I love the basis of the game, but it did have a really rough launch. Not that it was buggy, it just didn't have a lot of content. And it still gets dumped on, and quite frankly, I don't think it's fair, because now they've done a lot to fix it and make it better, but it's still like we were talking before stream, YouTube had a field day with it. And you got all of the, I will not mention their names, but certain big content creators who unleash their flying monkeys on any game that they decide is trash, while they get paid to promote games that have some trashy aspects to them. It just got dumped on, and it shouldn't have. People should have looked at the roadmap and said, okay, it's this now, but it's going to get better, and it's gotten way better. It's gotten way better. I've had people coming into my streams lately when I'm playing it that are like, okay, should I really give this a try again? And I tell them all the stuff in there, and they're like, really? They added all that? And I'm like, yeah, they added that. And they're like, okay, maybe I think I'll have to download it again. So,
Okay. So without an evening with the wife and you're not streaming, what does Dreggas13 like to do when it's quiet?
Honestly, game. I have the problem that I have right now is that there's nothing can really hold my interest for a long time, or I just I love Elden Ring and I love Soulsborne games, but I get done with work, I eat dinner, I play some Elden Ring for a couple hours, and then I'll switch to something more relaxing just so I can wind down. I also really love, there's a bunch of offline games that I'll play here and there. I'll swap between them. There's some Warhammer 40,000 ones that I really like. I also am reading through all of the Warhammer 40,000 books now. Yay, Kindle, because it's like 500 novels.
Right.
I'm only on like, I think I'm on like 21 or 22 out of them. But that's my way to unwind at night, is just to chill with a Warhammer 40K novel for about a half hour to an hour before bed, and just, go to sleep.
Every streamer I've ever talked to, or just a person who loves nostalgia, we all collect really interesting things in our home. What is something you love collecting?
I mean, I have a small collection of swords. I have a bunch of books. I collect some interesting books. Like I have like Buckland's Guide to Witchcraft. I have the Encyclopedia of Demons and Demonology. I have the Malleus Maleficarum, like old stuff. Like I'm really much. I love the supernatural, and I love the. I love a lot of that esoteric stuff. So that's some of the stuff that I collect. I also like to do. I also like to go out. Go out into nature. I go fishing. I like to be out in nature. We just got back from Joshua Tree. We were out there this weekend to look at the stars because it was going to be a crystal clear night with no moon.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was like I'm kind of like, I don't know how to put it. Like I like ancient stuff too. I like a lot of like ancient history and natural history and stuff. So
nothing wrong with that. That sounds amazing. I like that. Who does it better, Marvel or DC?
Marvel.
Okay, why so? I want to know. I got to know this. Tell me.
It's just like, I mean, maybe I grew up reading a lot of comics. I didn't get into the DC ones as much as I got into Marvel. I like the Marvel characters better. Batman's all right. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I like Batman. Batman's okay, but like, there was something, I don't know. The characters in the Marvel universe caught me more than the DC ones, and I was never really. I don't know. It's like hard to explain. It's like, okay, DC has Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, and I watched the Justice League growing up. But in Marvel, I've got Ghost Rider, I've got Punisher, I've got Carnage and Venom. I've got really cool characters, and they're not afraid to kill things.
That's fair.
Like, DC, they were all like, oh, we're going to arrest him. And then the next week, the Joker's out and Batman's got to get him again. It's like, you should have just shot him when you had the chance,
Yeah, that's fair. Don't worry. We're going to come back to Batman in a moment. We have a signature question to ask about Batman.
The Batman cartoon series, the one that had, I think wasn't it Jonathan Frakes and Mark Hamill? That was absolutely epic. Like, I loved that cartoon series.
All right. So everybody has gone through it, right? So I'm pretty sure at your age, you said you were 45. You've hit rock bottom and you've gone through it. And it's been a horrible time in your life. Who would you say you relate to more in Marvel as a character that would you relate to when you were at that low point in your life?
I mean, I don't know that there was one I would relate to, because I never, like, if I was to relate to characters, they wouldn't necessarily be comic book characters. They'd be characters in novels.
All right, give me a character in a novel then.
I will give you a perfect one. Raistlin Majir, who was one of the main characters in the Dragonlance novels. He was the weakling, the one that was always picked on, that was always, not, he was always picked on, he was always beaten up by the others, this, that, and the other thing. And he became the most powerful mage in all of the world that Dragonlance exists in. He literally took on a god, basically. And that's kind of one that I would look to. So I can't really, like, my biggest down and out, I've been homeless. I've been on the streets. There's no character that I can think of that I could relate to in that regard that then came back up, just because that wasn't my mindset During that, it was more like I'm going to survive this and I'm going to get through this because I'm not going to let myself give up. I was never one to sit there and just roll over, you know? If I put my mind to something, I'm going to do it.
Who's now we just listening during this whole time I've been here with you, I keep hearing your wife being brought up in different points in the interview. How did you guys meet?
The internet. We literally met on a website and started talking over what used to be Yahoo Messenger, you know, back in the day, you know, ancient internet technology.
Right.
And one night I was at home. We were talking on Messenger. I'm like, "What are you doing?" She's like, "I'm nothing." "What are you doing?" "I'm nothing. I'm kind of bored." I'm like, "Hey, do you like sushi?" And she said, "Yeah, I love sushi." And now I didn't have a car at the time, and we lived a little ways away from each other. So she drove down to me.
Wow.
And I'm like, "I know a great sushi spot." We got in the car, went to the sushi spot. Turns out she thought what I meant by sushi was rolls, but I meant sushi. So she had only had rolls up to that point. So she had rolls and then tried actual sushi and was hooked on it. And you know, we pretty much, after that first date, we were seeing each other regularly and we haven't been apart since. So yeah.
Who said I love you first?
I honestly don't remember. That's like 18 years ago at this point. I don't remember.
Okay, well, do you remember?
I think that I probably did because I'm the romantic type.
You're the romantic type?
The romantic type, yeah.
Okay, so
you don't know it looking at me, but I kind of
No, you look like a great. I would want to marry you. You're a handsome man, sir. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay, so you don't remember the "I love you" part. Do you remember? Okay, so I guess the first question is, who proposed to who?
I did. I proposed to her.
Okay, so what was going through your mind when you popped the question?
Just that I knew I wanted to marry her. Like I knew I wanted to marry her. I wanted to be with her. And yeah, that was it. And it was very spontaneous too. It wasn't like I had planned. I mean, I had flowers delivered to her work. We got together for dinner. I proposed to her. Like there was a whole setup to it. I had the ring and whatnot, but for the most part, it was very much I knew this is what I wanted.
And then 18 years later, it's history, huh?
Basically, yeah.
And she has
13, we've been married for 14 years. We've been together for 18.
Ah, okay. So almost 20 years.
We had a pretty, almost 20 years.
So it sounds to me she's your rock.
Yeah, she is. She has made me a better person. I mean, we both made each other better people, but like if you want ride or die, my wife is ride or die. We've been there through each other through thick and thin. There's been times where we've driven each other up a wall. I know there's times I've driven her up the wall. You know, probably done things that I should do differently, etc. And you know, there's been times where I've been an ass. I fully admit that. But at the end of the day, we have stuck by one another. We love one another. We treat each other well, and you know, I wouldn't want to be with anybody else. Like I wouldn't.
Well, you know what's next. Now you get to leave her a wonderful message in your interview. Take it away.
Babe, what can I say? I love you. I have always loved you. I will always love you. I wouldn't be where I am, I don't think, without you by my side. And, you know how much I care about you. You know how much I love you. And I'll always be there for you, no matter what. That's pretty much all I can say.
Fair enough. I like the fact that your face got this really interesting smile, and I like that. It's a very genuine message. I love that. Speaking of being genuine, you have to answer this very honestly. Okay?
Okay.
Which is better as a franchise, Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter?
Lord of the Rings.
Why?
I grew up with it. I mean, I had an 11th edition reprinting of Lord of the Rings. You know, Harry Potter, I won't even get into the politics of it, though I got a lot of issues with the author over some of this, over a lot of the shit. But for the most part, like, Lord of the Rings was the ultimate real underdog story to me. I mean, you know, you've got this hobbit who didn't ask for any of this shit that suddenly has to go save the world and doesn't have any special powers. Okay, he doesn't have any magic. He's just got his wits and his friends. And you know, and I got to agree with what Marcus said. You know, Harry Potter wouldn't have existed without Lord of the Rings. Like, Lord of the Rings is some of the greatest fiction of all time, and everywhere you go, yes, there's original storytelling, but there's always a little bit of what came before in the newer stuff. You know, there's always inspiration to be drawn from it. Also, again, elves, dwarves, magic, dragons, all that stuff in a medieval setting versus a kid that jumps on a train via, you know, leaping through a brick wall or something to go to a school for wizards. Yeah, I mean, I understand that it's this generation's thing. I've watched all the Harry Potter movies. I'm like, yeah, this is all right, but give me Peter Jackson's Lord of the Rings any day.
Okay. If you had a moment to become any mythical creature, what would it be?
I don't know. You know, a long time ago. So going back to the theme of being picked on as a kid, I used to dream of being able to turn into Godzilla and destroying my school.
That's fair.
I mean, you know, you have these, you see Godzilla the first time and watch him destroy Tokyo, and you're like, I want him to come to my school, because that's you know, especially when you were the one that was picked on. As far as changing into a mythical creature, like, I mean, I think it'd be cool to be a dragon. I think it'd be cool to be a dragon. You know, just the sheer size, flying around, the whole 9 yards. I think that would be awesome. That's probably the one that I would pick. Would be a dragon.
When you were young, and there were tons of celebrities out there, sports, movie actors. Who did you idolize?
You know, growing up, I never really idolized those guys, and I think that was kind of something that my dad instilled in me. He's like, don't idolize these people. Don't, you know, be your own self. Don't look up to them. And in a lot of ways, that's kind of paid off, because, you know, we idolize these people and then they fall.
Yeah.
And you think that they're infallible, that they're amazing, that they can do no wrong, and then you find out that they're a horrible human being. And you're like, I've spent all this time idolizing this person, and now to find out that they're just trash. And this is why I don't idolize the rich and famous. I don't envy them. And obviously, you know, it would be nice to have that kind of money, but I'd rather just have the money and not the fame. Because look at what they go through. Look at their lives are under constant scrutiny. They're chased around by press and paparazzi, and they don't get to live a life. So envying them, idolizing them, nah. I'd rather just be me and enjoy my life. You know, I will say that if I ever got rich, you know, I probably wouldn't change my lifestyle too much, just because I don't want the problems that come with it.
On your tombstone, what would you like it to say?
I've never really thought about that. Probably, I mean, I honestly don't think about that. That's the funny thing. You know, I just that I lived a good life, that I did my best. You know.
Okay, so how about we change it up a little bit? How about we say we'll make a plaque that we're going to put next to you, no matter where you're going to be placed. What would be a philosophy that we could put on this plaque?
Never give up. He never gave up. Like, he fought till the end. Like I said, I've been homeless. I fought my way from the streets to where I am now. I had somebody tell me I wasn't smart enough to do the job that I do for a day job. And here I am doing it. I taught myself. I never went to college. I never did any real, I mean, some formal training as a result of the jobs that I've had, but I never did formal training. I just always, like, It's not even my wife says it's just because I'm very competitive. In a way, I am very competitive, but I'm more competitive against myself. Like, I want to keep doing better. I want to keep doing more. So basically, he never gave up.
Nice. I like that. What's the worst part about you, in your opinion?
Sometimes I need to be hit upside with the head with a frying pan to be aware of stuff. I have never been formally diagnosed, but I am convinced in some regards I'm somewhat on the spectrum based on how I react to certain situations and how I deal with some things. And part of that is I'm kind of oblivious at times to things around me unless you hit me upside the head with a frying pan. Like, you literally got it. No hinting. Just come out and spit it out, because I'll be like sitting there going, huh? You know, I there's times where I'll totally miss it. I also am a creature of habit. So if I get into the habit and routine of doing something, it's very hard for me to break it. And I hate breaking my habit and routine. Like, I'm 100% totally a Capricorn in that regard. You know, I have my routine. I stick to my routine. If you mess with that routine, now I try to be spontaneous, and I'm trying to be better about being spontaneous. But even then, I'm planning.
Right.
Like, I can't just be like, hey, let's go do this. No, if we're gonna go do that, I want to make sure. Like, hey, let's go to Vegas for the weekend. Okay, let me make sure that we have a hotel reserved. Let's make sure that we're, kind of have an idea here. Not, hey, let's go to Vegas for the weekend and just stay at whatever hotel we land on. I can't do that. I've never been able to do that.
Fair enough. All right, this one's going to be a good one, in my opinion. We're going to exclude your wife, Tuna, and your community. Every morning you wake up and look in the mirror. What are you grateful for?
I mean, that I'm breathing. I mean, nothing is ever promised. You could not wake up one day, but I mean, I'm grateful for my health. I'm grateful for, even though some of the stuff that I've gone through over the years sucks, like, I'm grateful for all of the experiences that I've had, the good and the bad, because they've gotten me to this point. They've gotten me where I am today. I think that would probably be it.
I'm going to give you a moment to vent. I need you to really think about this and really go in, right? This is going to be the emotional moment that you get to really vent. What's the worst franchise you have ever experienced? And that could be anything. What's the worst?
The worst franchise? Call of Duty.
Really?
It's the same shit over and over, shoveled out to gamers year after year, and everybody keeps swallowing it up. I did for a while. And then to make matters worse, Modern Warfare came out. It was a pretty good game. I played a lot of Modern Warfare. I played a lot of Warzone. I quit playing it because all I did was scream about it. Like, my wife even was like, man, you're screaming a lot of that game. And I'm like, well, yeah, it's Warzone. That's how it is. It just made me mad, and then they come out with Cold War, and they're like, oh, yeah, well, all the guns that are in Modern Warfare now suck. You got to get Cold War in order to get the good guns. And so it just becomes a cash grab. Everybody sits here and they want to bitch about games. And, oh, this game's got a cash shop. This game's horrible. Dude, you play COD. You're buying the battle pass every year. You're buying the skins. You keep saying that the next version's going to be different, and it's the same thing. And you call other games trash. I had somebody literally, and this is why this way has made it easy to rant. It's because I had somebody today comment on a TikTok that I had for a clip that was from Skull and Bones. That was actually a pretty epic little moment. It was a lot of fun. It was pretty cool. Like, that game's trash, quadruple A. I go and look at the person's profile. And I deleted their comment because I just I get it. Negativity, interaction, engagement, all that stuff's great for their algorithm. I'm not going to feed into that. I just delete the stuff. YouTube has taught me that. Just delete it and move on. I look through their TikToks and I see COD clips. I'm like, dude, you play COD. Your opinion is not valid.
Fair enough.
And I mean, that I think that would be, I mean, I could rant. There's a lot of things that I rant about. I'll get into rants on stream too. We could be sitting there having a good time. I will get on my soapbox and you know, various things we'll all rant about, and usually, I mean, it's never incoherent, but it's, you know, usually it's just something that's sticking in my craw that day. Like whether as this other night, for example, was about the fact that the content on YouTube that seems to do the best is always the most negative. You know, it's always the shitting on games, shitting on people, and in general, just and I fall into it too, and I help feed that. I mean, let's put it this way: we all know what happened with Dr. Disrespect now, and for a long time, and you know, you go out there on YouTube and you can see all the dirty laundry being aired about it and all the videos about it. And I admit, I watched some of them, and then what does that do? That starts feeding me more of that negativity, and I had to stop it because I was just like, okay, I got the full story now. I know all I need to know. I'm not going to keep going down this rabbit hole. And it's all clickbait. It's not, it's all, and I understand it because, I mean, if you're a content creator, you understand that clickbait works. When I was streaming the Skull and Bones betas because I had access before everybody else, that got me over the top to YouTube Partner. And that's because of the thousands of views and hundreds of hours of watch time that I got out of 2 nights of streaming the beta. You know, I get that hot stuff sells, and I understand that, but even if it means that I grow super slow and I don't blow up and I don't have a viral moment, I would rather produce content that I'm proud of than content that was just there to get clicks, you know, or was just preying on other people.
Fair enough. Why does Batman suck?
He doesn't. He's too much of a goody two shoes. He puts all these people in jail and then they just get out again. And it's the same thing over and over again. I mean, I get having scruples and morals, and I understand that, and that's great. But like, come on, how many times does the Joker have to kill hundreds of people before you finally are like, okay, this is enough?
Right.
Because you know he's going to get out again. It just feels like they ever. I don't think that the character sucks, and honestly, like, to be honest, the Dark Knight series, Christian Bale's Batman, was probably the best Batman movie adaptations I've ever watched. And I do like the character, and I do like him being the Dark Knight, but I don't think he's dark enough. Like, I don't think that he's a wannabe Punisher, but with morals. Because a Punisher would be just like, boom, you're done. Yeah, boom, one bad guy off the street. He wants to be an anti-hero. He's a wannabe anti-hero who's a hero. You know? So it's just like, yeah. I don't think that I don't think it's a bad character. I just don't think it's the greatest. I don't think that and that's the thing with DC characters, is they're a little bit too goody two shoes sometimes. And while we all would aspire to be that, you know, that doesn't always work.
Can you name a movie that you've ever watched that made you cry?
I mean, Old Yeller when I was a kid, for sure.
Okay, how about as an adult?
As an adult, trying to think if there wasn't any movies that I've watched that it's remembering names of them. I mean, I'm sure there has been. There's been a couple that have made me tear up. I mean, the names escape me. I know that there have been some that make me tear up. Can't think of the names. It's easier to talk about video games that have made me tear up than movies.
Okay, you know what? That's a good transition. Has there ever been a game that you played that emotionally moved you? Whether it brought you to tears, you know, because sometimes like I'll play Kingdom Hearts and the music usually gets to me. So
Ori and the Blind Forest. That one would get you within like 10 minutes of playing the game, and I hated the person that told me to play that just for how the game started out.
Oh man.
Unravel was okay. Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice got me at the end. That is an absolutely amazing game. Both Hellblade and Hellblade 2 are amazing games to play. I highly recommend them. They are one of the few. They took the idea of schizophrenia, aka psychosis, put it into a video game and made it really relatable and made it really real. And that game emotionally affected me. The end of the game got me. that was one instance where I could identify with a character, because after all the hell that the character went through, they came out on the other side better for it. Unravel, another, like, produced by EA, and probably one of the best games EA has produced in a long time. That was a puzzle kind of platformer that was a lot of fun to play, but as it got deeper and deeper into the game, it was telling this emotional story about this family. And at the end, it got me, because it reminded me of my dad. It was like a story about the family's dad, and I had lost my dad to lung cancer. So that one got me, and it still gets me a little emotional talking about it. So yeah, that would be one.
Greatest console ever created, gaming console.
I mean, I would have to say the Xbox. I'm an Xbox fan. I've played PlayStations. I played Nintendo. I played Super Nintendo. I played N64. I've played GameCube. I played Sega Genesis. I mean, back in the day, way back in the day, I would have said Sega over Nintendo, mainly because Sega did not censor their games the way that Nintendo did. Like Mortal Kombat had the fatalities. You know, it had the blood and guts. Nowadays, I'm a big Xbox fan. I just like that it integrates nicely with my PC, so I can stream the games to my desktop and, you know, have it all hooked up. And I'm a Microsoft fan anyways. So.
Well, now I'm going to let you shamelessly plug who you are. And the question is, why should anybody watch you as a streamer?
I would say, you know, watch me as a streamer if you enjoy, like, it. I would say if you're an adult, watch me. If you know, I'm a Gen X Zennial, so I have about zero fucks to give. I don't like it. Well, I am, and I won't use the words politically correct. I have courtesy and I have politeness, but I also tell very dirty freaking jokes. You know, the innuendo, the double entendres, the puns, the whole 9 yards. And it's like a place where you can cut loose, relax, have some fun, have some laughs. And unless you are racist, sexist, homophobic, bigot, any of those, you're going to have a good time and you're going to be able to fit in with the community. I take people as they are. If you're a good person, then you're never going to have an issue and you'll be able to just hang out, have fun. And hopefully, like, if I've done my job, your day will be brighter for having been there, especially if you've been having a bad day. And I get a lot of people that come in all the time. They had a shitty day. And they'll say they had a shitty day, and occasionally we'll discuss it. I try not to. For a long time, I was running my streams, and they were almost like mental health streams the whole time. And that got really hard, not just on me, but on the community, because I can give you advice, but I'm not a life coach. And I can't, like, we're sitting here to have a good time, not be having to deal with that stuff all the time. Like, you know, I can't deal with
trauma dumping.
Yeah, for a long time, it was literally people come, hey, how you doing? And then it would be an instant trauma dump. Now it's like, okay, look, if you're having a shitty day, I'm sorry to hear that you're having a shitty day. Hang out, relax. We're going to be telling jokes. We're going to be having a good time. You will have the ability to unwind, be entertained, and leave hopefully in a better place than when you came in. That would be it. I mean, the games are second. Get your mind off the world. There's enough. We all know there's enough shit going on in this world right now. And everybody needs that time to just escape a little bit. So my stream is an escape from that reality to have some fun and meet some cool people. Not just me as a streamer, but the community as well.
Perfect. Just to let everybody know, during this whole entire interview, you guys can check out the description below, and all of Mr. Dreggas13 links will be provided. So definitely go give him some and support him. Now,
by the way, I see that thing in your chat. I also stream for Hope for the Day.
Yeah, those guys. Big shout out to Hope for the Day. I use them definitely for when people you know, come to my stream and they trauma dump, I'm like, yo, this is where you want to be. And I've used their resources. So really big shout out. I'll tell you what, we'll add their link in the video below, in the description below, so you guys can check out the Hope for the Day. Great organization. Now, I think we're almost done. I think we can do one more question.
All right.
And then we'll have a follow-up situation with it, because I think I would like to know more about this, because it was kind of, actually there's two more. I got two more pieces for your interview.
Okay.
Tell me a little bit about your dad.
He was an asshole, and there's no cutting through it. And the thing is it's funny because I'm a lot like my dad, but I have a lot of differences than my dad too. My dad was a Marine in Vietnam. He worked a factory job to put food on the table for me and my sister and my mother. He had an alcohol problem for many years. He was an alcoholic, and he admitted it, and he figured it out, and he got himself sober. It took a long time, but he finally managed to do that. And as much as he was an asshole, and I can say that, and he will admit it, he would say it himself, you know, he taught me he's the one who taught me to never give up. He's the one who told me to be better than he was, which led to us butting heads later in life, because we argued on a lot of things because we had a lot of different viewpoints. But I mean, there was literally rules for when they would come visit or when we'd go visit, because it would just lead to me and my dad arguing. We're both hard-headed. He was, at the end of the day, though, I mean, I looked up to him because he's the one who taught me to be self-sufficient, to be stronger than I thought I was, and to be better than him. And at the end of it all, I'm very lucky. I got to go see him just before he passed. It was crazy, because literally I think it was like the 2 days after we got back from that visit is when I got the call and had to say my goodbyes. He was proud of me. I mean, I spent a lot of years, probably shouldn't have, and he probably said he would have probably smacked me for this, but I wanted him to be proud of me. He worked his ass off. He always wanted me to do better than he did, and I did that. I've done that. So, yeah.
I would like to say, I love you. I'm a father, and I love you, and it's very brave of you to even. So I commend you for that. So I appreciate that. Yeah. Now, I would like to say thank you for your time. And by the way, you're gonna have to give Tuna her treats. Yeah, what are you doing? Yeah. We gotta come on now. Yeah. He is the boss.
She is. Yeah, she is. It's a cat. You don't own a cat. The cat owns you.
This is true. This is why I have dogs.
I have dogs too, and I love them just as much, but like the cat purring always calms the nerves. It always does.
No. So I'd like to say thank you, sir, for your time. And again, I really do appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule to sit here and let me get to know you. Big shout out to your community who showed up, and I really do appreciate you guys here supporting Mr. Dreggas13. And definitely, we will be meeting again in person. Hopefully, you're going to be at TwitchCon in San Diego.
I've already got my tickets. I'm going to be there. Oh, that's even closer than Vegas. So
does that mean we're going to the Gaslight District, sir?
I will take you to places that are better than the Gas Lamp, because the Gas Lamp is overhyped tourist attraction.
Well, I ended up getting that party ticket. Did you get the party ticket after party?
No, I didn't get the block party ticket. Like so like again that whole thing of like the kind of on the spectrum thing is I don't deal well with large crowds for very long.
Fair enough. I neither
very
do
loud
I.
stuff, like very loud stuff. I can't process, and I'm just like, okay, I gotta go somewhere else. And it's not just an age thing; it's always been that way.
Well, so, I'll tell you what. I'll hang out with you at the event because I'm going by myself, and I'm actually going to be about 2 minutes away from the actual convention. So if you want to break out, I'll roll with you, man.
All right. Yeah, I'll be down there. I don't know if we're going to be staying down in San Diego because it's only like a couple-hour drive. I might drive down and back both days. We'll see. But yeah, no, I'll definitely be there. I already have my tickets for TwitchCon, and I'm looking forward to going again.
Excellent. Well, did you have fun?
I did, and thank you for having me, man. Thank you for reaching out to me to do this. I'm more than happy to do it, and it was cool to meet you at TwitchCon and like hang out and get to know you. You know, it's one of the things I like about TwitchCon is I think it gives us a chance to even more connect more than just like hanging out in each other's streams at the end of the day. You know, I think that's one of the reasons why I'm going back this year is because I'm gonna get to meet some other people, and I'm also going to see some streamer friends that I don't get to see anywhere else. So
good place to connect. Mm-hmm. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I want to say thank you everybody for watching this interview, and until next time, check you guys later.
Thank you guys.
I'm like, you can say bye too.
Thank you guys. Have a good one.
Fair enough. All right, you guys.